Okay guys, before we get into today's video, we kind of need to talk a little bit. There's apparently been a lot of confusion about this Raspberry Pi series. The idea that I had at the beginning of this is that we would start at the very beginning with the hardware and move our way into software, and we would start at video 1 and work our way through to video, we'll call it X, because I don't know how many videos are going to be in this series. All of the videos from this series are in a playlist. That playlist is linked in the description of all of the videos in this series. Hope that makes sense. So I want to show you a couple of things here. Right here, this is the video that I released Wednesday. This is setting up Nextcloud with remote access. If we scroll down into the description here, right here it says more Raspberry Pi home server videos. If you click this, it's going to bring us here, and this is the full list of all of the videos in this series. So you can start up here at number 1 with the hardware and work our way into installing Open Media Vault, then installing Docker and Portainer, and then we install Duplicati because backups are good to have. If we want remote access, we need some kind of a reverse proxy. So we installed NGINX Proxy Manager. Then we installed CloudFlare just to make sure that if our IP address changes, our A record on CloudFlare will maintain and we won't lose connectivity. And of course, Wednesday with Nextcloud with remote access. All of those videos are in this playlist. Again, the link to this playlist is available in the description of all of these videos. Now, that's all fine and well, but there's one other way you can do this. If you go over to my channel, tell you what, let's just click me right there. Right here, we're on my channel's homepage. Here you can see there are some videos here, but if we scroll down just a little bit, right here, Raspberry Pi 4 home server. All of the videos in this series are right here. So this is how you can access the entire video series without any issues. Everything's in order. So there's a few different ways actually that you can find all of the information you need in order to follow along with this series as easily as possible. Hey guys, happy Friday. Hope everybody's doing well. Getting ready to have a great weekend. Today we're going to take a look at installing BitWardenRS as a password management solution to replace other solutions out there like LastPass or any of the others that I can't think of off the top of my head. But I used to use LastPass quite a bit for years and years and years. And then once I got into home servers and self-hosting, I've switched over to Bitwarden. I've been using it for several months without issue, and it's super easy to set up. So in this video, we're going to tackle how to do that, and we're going to make sure that it's accessible from the internet so we can put Bitwarden on our phone, our tablet, access it remotely if we need to, that sort of thing. So the prerequisite to this video is you need to have watched at least the first few videos talking about how to get set up with Raspbian and that sort of thing. You'll need to have Docker or Open Media Vault installed. You'll need to have Docker and Portainer installed. You'll need to have NGINX Proxy Manager installed. You'll also need a domain name. So as far as domain names are concerned, I've mentioned this in previous videos. I've mentioned this on social media, that sort of thing. The folks over at Porkbun reached out to me and offered me the opportunity to give you guys a great deal on domain names. They recently released .click and .link domains that are currently on sale for less than $4 a piece for the first year. Then they renew for like $7 and some change next year and the years following that. If you use the coupon code DBTech, it's all uppercase, it is case sensitive. So if you go to Porkbun and pick out your domain.click or your domain.link and you buy that with the coupon code DBTech, you'll get the first year for 99 cents. There is a limit of 3 of those per customer, but just know that you can do that. I will have a link to that and more information about it in the description down below. So you will need a domain name for this to work as well. So with all of the prerequisites out of the way here, let's jump over to my desktop now. So here we are. This is actually a gist or a gist, however you want to say that, over on GitHub that I put together. I'll have a link to that in the description down below as well. So what we're going to do is we're just going to copy this just like so. We're going to come over here to Portainer. We're going to create a new stack. So we'll click on stacks right here. We're going to go to stacks. We're going to paste this in. We're going to give this a name, just like so. And so let's run through this just real quick. We're using version 2. That's pretty standard stuff on here. The service we're using is BitWardenRS. The image we're going to use is BitWardenRS. Their server, we're going to use the latest version of that. That's where we get this tag right here. The container name I named BitWardenRS. That seemed pretty appropriate for what we're doing here. Below that, we've got volumes. So volumes are going to be where it stores all of the configuration stuff for your servers, or for your BitWardenRS application, I guess is the better way to say that. So what we've done here is if we go over here to our server location, over here to Open Media Vault, let's get logged in. I should have already done this, but I wasn't thinking far enough ahead. So if we come over here to shared folders, we should be able to see this once it loads. There we go. So if we're looking for the config, we've got srv dev disk by label files /config. If we come over here to Portainer, srv /dev disk by label files /config, and then we've appended that with /bitwardenrs, and then we're mounting it to the applications data folder. Below that, we've got ports, port 81, port 8100. By default, this was supposed to be on port 80, but we've already got NGINX Proxy Manager running on port 80, so I had to pick something else. So I went with port 8100. Of course, you can change that if you need to. Just make sure you only change the 8100 and you leave the 80 part alone. It needs the 80 part for the internal port on the application container. So below that, we've got restart unless stopped. Unless stopped is fine. You could also switch that to always if you wanted to as well. Either one of those should be just fine. Once we've got that, all we've got to do is come down here and click on deploy the stack. Mine should actually go pretty quick since I've already pulled the image from doing some testing prior to this. But we'll go ahead and give this just a moment to do its thing. And then once it's booted up, we'll go ahead and take a quick look at it. Okay, so here we are. Here is BitWardenRS. So we'll go ahead and look in here. It says it's starting. So let's take a look at the logs. Right now it's running a migration, so it's setting up the database, that sort of thing. And then down here at the bottom, it says Rocket has launched on port 80. Well, it's port 8100 for us. But let's go ahead and take a quick look at that just to make sure everything there is working. Now, we're just going to pull this up for the sake of testing this to make sure it works. There it is. Now we have we can log in with an email address and a password. But before we do that, we need to jump over to CloudFlare in order to get a subdomain set up for remote access to the application. Okay, so let's go ahead and actually close this tab. We don't need it right now. So we're just going to go ahead and close this. What we are going to do, though, is come over here to CloudFlare. Here we can see that I've got dbtech.click set up. That is my IP address that's pointed to my house. So I've got that blurred. You don't need to know that. But what we are going to do is we're going to set up a Cname record here. So we're going to click on Cname right there. The name, we got to come up with a subdomain that we want to use for LastPass. I'm just going to call it pass. That seems simple enough. I'm going to put the @ symbol in there so that it automatically fills in dbtech.click. That @ is just a variable that's widely used when setting up DNS records. So you don't have to type in the full domain. You just type in @ and it fills in that portion for you. The next thing we want to do is actually come over here to Proxy and switch that to DNS only for the time being. The reason for that is we need Let's Encrypt to access the server's actual IP address in order to set up the SSL. So once we get that, we'll come back in here and we'll set this to Proxy. But for right now, we just need it to be DNS only. So I'm going to click Save. And so right now, what we're going to do is actually come back here to NGINX Proxy Manager. We're going to create a new host, new proxy host. We can click right here, just like so. The domain name will be pass.dbtech.click. We'll go ahead and click enter there. I just want to make sure, yep, dbtech.click, that looks good. So this should be 192.168.68.126, and this should be 8100. So of course, this IP address will be different for you. That's just what my IP address is for my Raspberry Pi here. So what we'll do is we'll click on block common exploits. We always want to do that. That's always good practice. For SSL, we're going to come over here. We're going to select request new SSL certificate. We're going to force it. We're going to select HTTP2. Just remember, we will have to actually come back here and recheck those once this deploys. But then we'll say, I agree, and we'll click save. Now we'll give this a second. If everything works correctly, shouldn't throw any errors, should bring us right back to our dashboard where we should be able to see a list of all of the subdomains that we've set up. All right, so that looks good. So we've got pass.dbtech.click, and right there we've got pass.dbtech.click. We've got our little padlock there, so our SSL is working. So now we should just be able to log in. So what we're gonna do is create an account. Our email address, we'll just type this in. You'll put in your email address, of course. .com. I'm gonna say dbtech. I'm gonna type in a password. And then I'm gonna put in a nope for the hint. And then we'll click submit. Cool, so now we should be able to go ahead and log in. Awesome, so now we're logged in. We're at pass.dbtech.click. Now there's one more thing we need to do before we go any further. For the sake of security, what we want to do is come back over here to CloudFlare. We're going to click this button right here for DNS only. We're going to switch that to proxied, and then we're going to click save. When the certificates come up for renewal, it doesn't need to have access to our IP address anymore at that point. We've already validated who we are and where we are. So from moving forward, it'll automatically renew those certificates, and we won't have to deal with it, and we can leave this proxied. So that being said, we can actually go ahead and close this. We can close that. And we can click on leave. That's fine. Okay, so there's one thing I almost forgot to mention here, and that is we need to actually come back over to here, click on edit under pass.yourdomain.com or whatever subdomain you set up there. Click on edit. Then come over here to SSL and make sure that you click both of those to turn those on and click save. It's just an extra precautionary step to make sure we don't have any SSL issues with NGINX Proxy Manager. Now, there's one thing, when I did this video originally for my main home server series, my first home server series, one of the things that you can do with this is, as I mentioned, you can install this as a browser extension. You can see that I've got that right there. You can also install this on your phone and that sort of thing. So when you first install the extension on your browser and in your phone, that sort of thing, you're going to see something that looks very similar to this. What you need to do is actually come up here to this little icon up here, click on settings, and type in the URL to your server. So I'm just going to go ahead and paste that in there just like that and click save. So now we can go ahead and log in. So we did David at dbtechreviews.com and my password like so. And now we're logged in. Now there's nothing there for it to share, for it to have, because we just installed this. But as you add items here, it will synchronize to come over to here. So that's all you've got to do to set up BitWardenRS on your Raspberry Pi. So there you go, guys. There's how easy it is to set up BitWardenRS on your Raspberry Pi so that you can have your own self-hosted password manager that's available on your desktop, your tablet, your phone, your whatever you need to install it on. You can have access to your own self-hosted password management solution. So anyway, I hope you found the video helpful. Of course, if you did, it would mean a lot to me if you'd give the video a thumbs up. It really does help quite a bit. Also, I want to give a big shout out to my patrons. Thank you guys for supporting me month after month. I really do appreciate you guys. If you guys want to, if you're not a patron already and you'd like to be, there will be a link in the description where you can support the channel. Also, I got to give a big shout out to the sponsors of the video series that we're working on right now. Argon 40 for sending me the M.2 case that the Raspberry Pi is in. Kit for sending the Raspberry Pi. Thanks to you guys for that. Sabrent for sending over my 2 terabyte external NVMe drive, as well as the enclosure that it's all in. Thank you all for making this video series possible. I will have links to all of their stuff in the description down below, so you can go ahead and pick up all of your own hardware if you want to do that as well. So I think with all that being said, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. As always, thanks for your time. I always appreciate your support, and I'll talk to you in the next video.